Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, MLPE, A Gift or a Curse. I'm Kelsey Misbrenner, editor with Solar Power World. Before we begin, we wanted to let you know about our application widgets at the bottom of your screen. You can move and resize them however you like. Slides are available to view at any time via the resource widget. Submit any questions related to today's webinar via the Q&A widget. Our presenters will send answers afterward to the email you used to sign up for today's webinar. We encourage you to tweet with us. Simply sign in through the Twitter box. Today's hashtag is automatically added to your tweets. And finally, if you're watching this on demand, you can still use all the features I went over. Let's get started with today's webinar, MLPE, A Gift or a Curse. Today's speakers are Wes Kennedy and Tom Schroeder. Wes is a senior field application engineer at Fronius, and Tom is a marketing manager at CivicSolar. And now I'll turn it over to Wes and Tom.
Thank you, Kelsey, and hello to everyone out there today. My name is Tom Schroeder, and I'm the marketing manager here at CivicSolar's Boston office. First off, I'd like to thank you for joining today's webinar. I know everyone is busy, and it's super meaningful for us when you're able to take the time in the middle of the day to join us and learn more about the Fronius product line. I'd like to thank Solar Power World as well for hosting this. It's been a pleasure working with both Kelsey and Wes, and I've learned a lot from their experience in the industry as well. Today, I'm eager to share some technical knowledge about the Fronius Smart Solution with you so you can feel comfortable relaying the product's unique advantages to all your customers in the field. My goal is to instill the confidence in your team to pitch the robust, reliable, and cost-effective Fronius product line, knowing that your customers will be in good hands. Towards the end of the presentation, Wes is also going to provide us with some more details about the Fronius Energy Package as well, a storage solution that's been debuted in Europe. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar, don't hesitate to drop them in the text box on the left side of your On24 screen. In order to adequately set the stage for the Fronius product line, I think it's critical to understand the overarching message that guides the Fronius solar division. Fronius believes that the future of the solar industry lies in 24 hours of sun. And you might be asking, what exactly does that mean? Because the sun is never shining in one place for 24 hours. And ultimately, it means that we're storing energy and we're converting energy in the most efficient way possible. Fronius believes that if our industry is truly to become one of the leading sources of energy generation worldwide, it will come as a result of market-wide collaboration as well as open protocols instead of proprietary solutions. And hence, it really begs the question for module-level power electronics that are these differing proprietary bolt-on solutions the most efficient way for us to scale while also ensuring reliable energy generation. We believe that PV module manufacturers are going to continue to work towards rapid shutdown integration closer and closer to the module. But we also see this as something that can be integrated into the module itself through a circuit chip to achieve rapid shutdown. And as a result, Fronius is going to continue to provide solutions that really fit into this vision for the future of PV, one of 24 hours of sun, and they hope to do so through the use of open protocols and continue this atmosphere of market-wide collaboration that we have. So just a brief background on Fronius, the company itself. Fronius started in 1946, and this is a year after Günter Fronius saw business opportunity in car battery charging in Austria. He noticed a lot of people were actually just throwing away their batteries instead of learning how to properly recharge them, and founded Fronius in 1946 based on that initial hunch, and things have really taken off since Fronius has always been centered around the idea of energy conversion, and that has led them to become a leader in 3 separate industries: the welding industry, battery charging industry, like I mentioned, as well as the solar inverter industry. And Fronius initially took on this solar division of their business in 1992, and since then they have sold over 1 million inverters that have been installed across the world. And to this date, Fronius also is still held by the Fronius family, privately held, and they are cash operated and bankable. All right, so string inverters or module level power electronics. Now we're going to be talking about what most of you came here for, a discussion on the benefits and drawbacks for each. And both Wes and myself would really like to take a moment here to reflect on the true value of the string inverter in today's market that often goes overlooked. Okay, now I'd like to talk a little bit about why string inverters make sense from a residential perspective today. You'll see here in this graphic we've compared the Fronius Smart Solution to your average module level power electronics system. This is a 6 kW system that's NEC 2014 compliant, and there are 5 different criteria here: the installation time, the number of components from an inverter's perspective, the serviceability of the install, the probability of system failure, and the total cost of ownership. And you'll see here that Fronius comes out ahead on all 5 of these criteria for this residential installation. And I'd like to talk about the major advantages that come out of that. First off is peace of mind for an installer. When you have additional module level power electronics on a roof, it means that those electronics are enduring thermal cycling. And we all know that the more thermal cycling that occurs on any piece of electronics, the more risk that it is inherently exposed to. And why add that extra layer of vulnerability when you don't necessarily have to? Module level power electronics ultimately are thousands of future failure points that are on the books for installers. And with the Fronius solution, having no additional electronics on the rooftop itself, installers can rest easy at night knowing that they don't have to worry about servicing those failure points in the future. Another point here is the overall cost of the system. In today's market, it's true that there's still 35% lower cost of the Fronius Smart Solution compared to a SolarEdge or Enphase system. Another advantage here is the speed of the installation. When you don't have to bolt on additional electronics and map and label them for monitoring purposes, it can lead to a 30% decrease in installation time, which is significant because a speedier install means a less costly installation, which means more profit for you. And additionally, it also ensures greater safety of your employees by reducing the amount of time that they spend on rooftops. We all know that rooftops are the most dangerous part of installing solar, exposure to the sun and potential exhaustion, uneven surfaces, and the less time you can spend on the roof, generally the better. And lastly, the ease of operations and maintenance. The simplicity of string level monitoring compared to module level monitoring is still up for debate, but ultimately it provides the critical data that you need without becoming too granular and avoids the homeowner really watchdogging the system on a panel by panel basis and calling you when they see a very small drop in production potentially. And with the Fronius solution, operation and maintenance can be streamlined with only a single technician and no ladder going out to check the serviceability of the system instead of getting up there on the roof to replace a module level power electronics. So once again, peace of mind, lower hardware cost, a speedier installation, and much easier operations and maintenance with the Fronius Smart Solution.
Hi, everybody. Wes Kennedy from Fronius here. Thanks, Tom, for setting me up so nicely. And thanks, Kelsey, for hosting this. And I just want to take a sec to say that we appreciate the opportunity to share the Fronius vision with the Solar Power World community. So I wanted to talk a little bit about energy harvest with a little yield comparison. So MLPE claims that it always gives you more energy than string inverters. So we wanted to test that. So over a 6-month test period in sunny Austria with unshaded array, we went head-to-head with the Fronius Snap Inverter and classic PV modules versus the leading DC optimization. And we saw a nearly 3% more yield with Fronius. And that's because DC optimization does not come for free. So the first takeaway is, on your unshaded rooftops, which should be a majority of your fleet, don't pay extra money for lower yield with MLPE. Now, in terms of shaded systems, there's a myth out there that says shade on one panel will reduce the entire string to the current production of that panel. And that would be true if it wasn't for something called bypass diodes. And this is not a new technology. These have been built into solar modules since the 90s. And what they do is basically bypass that shaded portion, either a cell string within the module or an entire module in a string. So it makes that part of the array basically disappear from the string. So clearly, you know, if a module is shaded, it's not going to produce. But unlike what the myth says, it does not drag down the whole string. So once again, seek unshaded rooftops. Do your best to avoid shade. But realize that the penalty of shading on regular string inverters and regular modules is nowhere near as severe as what the MLPE community would have you believe. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our Fronius Smart Solution. And we want to establish that Fronius is not just selling inverters. We're selling solutions for a given renewable energy application. So our approach is, rather than a Swiss Army knife where one product tries to do everything, we have an a la carte approach. You only buy what you need. This ends up saving cost and saving complexity from systems. So of course the heart or the brains of any PV system is going to be the snap inverter. So that's the Primo residential inverter or the Simo commercial inverter, 3-phase. And if you're in an area that requires rapid shutdown, well, your first approach, your simplest approach, is put the inverter within 10 feet of the array. You've just met NEC 2014. The project won't let you do that. Then you add our rapid shutdown box, which is a low-cost, easy-to-install replacement for a junction box that you need to install anyways to get from your PV wiring down to your conduit for your inverter. Next layer is monitoring. Next layer is the smart meter for consumption monitoring. And the final level is to add DC optimization. So to speak a little of that, this symbol, this S symbol, stands for the SunSpec Alliance. and that's not a brand. That is an industry-wide working group whose aim is to produce standards in communications, which is kind of the thorniest bit of any solar project. So today there are modules on the market with integrated chips replacing those bypass diodes I spoke of earlier. And what these chips will do today is optimize your module at the substring level. So it's like having 3 DC optimizers per module. So all the shading benefits and some of the benefits around string sizing, and being able to go in different orientations, all that stuff can be added today at the cost of about 5 cents a watt to the module cost, not to the system cost. So you buy what you need just when you need it, and don't buy what you don't. So I mentioned monitoring and the smart meter in the previous slide, so I want to drill in a little deeper on it here. So all Fronius snap inverters share a common communication platform that we call SolarWeb. And in the inverter, there's a communication card, a data manager card, that can manage up to 100 inverters in what we call a SolarNet ring. In that data manager card gives you a whole host of baked-in communication capabilities. So Modbus running on SunSpec protocol, as I spoke of in the last slide, in both RTU and TCP. Wi-Fi is baked in, and as well as wired Ethernet. And all can use a very quick provisioning process through a smartphone app that's available for your tablets or your smartphones in both the Androids and the Windows and the Apples of the world. And SolarWeb then ports up to a web site that you have access to, that you get fleet level overview monitoring, and you drill down into each project, and it can allow you to do remote troubleshooting and even push remote software and firmware updates to your SolarWeb connected fleet. So it's just a touch of the button to keep firmware updated. Now the smart meter is yet another device. So this is the eyes of your inverter at the point of interconnection or in your load panel. And CTs wrap around your feeders, and the smart meter communicates back to the inverter, and it allows you to measure your energy consumption, to do feed-in management, including zero feed-in. And we're starting to see more and more of these kinds of applications as PV systems grow and penetration increases. So Hawaii is the classic example today. So those of you in California are probably familiar with this Rule 21 issue. For those of you that are not in California, know that the utilities, the big investor-owned utilities out there, have required new levels of functionality for solar inverters connected to their grid. In the old days, the idea was anytime there was a grid fluctuation, voltage, frequency, solar inverters were demanded to jump offline. And in Europe in 2006, with their high PV penetration, actually had rolling blackouts that were made worse by all the renewables, solar and wind, jumping offline as commanded, that made the system unstable and ultimately fail. So now the idea is that solar inverters with their smarts have the ability to support the grid when there are fluctuations in demand and load and whatnot. So just recently, so here in early September, it became a requirement for inverters to have some ability to change power factor and to inject VARs when the grid voltage is doing certain things. And Fronius inverters are inherently compliant. We've had this advanced grid features baked in for years. We've gone through all the levels of certification. You'll find us on the California websites. And just know that these Fronius inverters are fully Rule 21 compliant. So rapid shutdown. As you know, 2014 gave us a 10-foot rule with which to control those feeders coming off of the solar panels. And that's easy to meet and economical to meet with our rapid shutdown box. Now in 2017, that 10-foot rule drops down to 1 foot. And then in January 2019, it gets into requiring module level rapid shutdown. So what Fronius has done is taken a lead in, once again, with SunSpec Alliance to build communication protocol that will allow the inverter to control rapid shutdown in the module via integrated chips built by the large chip manufacturers, these billion-dollar firms that show up in our smartphones and our cars and our spaceships, and integrated by the PV module manufacturers. Now we've all seen the PV industry go with higher and higher quality, higher and higher quantity with lower and lower cost. So we know that the path forward for rapid shutdown is not field bolt-on module level electronics with all of the O&M concerns, all of the rooftop safety, all of the additional time to install and label and map, but it's going right into the junction box on the back of the PV module, and it's going to be driving towards a penny a watt. So the little pictures here may be hard to see, but the first one is somebody has taken a phone and a camera and taped them together. And that is analogous to what we're doing today to achieve rapid shutdown, bolting on MLPE in fields. And what the future holds is this nice, slick, shiny smartphone. Factory integration, functionality that's needed, and in a way that removes the hassle from the installation process. So while we're talking about the future, we should talk about some really exciting things that's happening in the rest of the world that is soon coming to the U.S. And this is energy storage. So earlier Tom mentioned our 24 hours of sun. And the way you get to 24 hours of sun is you store energy. And also you get there by networking and integration with smart appliances and really building the home of the Jetsons. But this first next level is what we call the energy package. And it's already deployed fully in Europe and in Australia. And we expect to bring it here to the U.S. By the end of next year. Now what this system basically consists of is a inverter that has dual DC ports on it. So you got a set of terminals for your PV input, and another set of terminals for a high voltage battery bank. And I say high voltage because I want to differentiate that from kind of the norm historically in the U.S. of 48 volt DC battery packs. With high voltage, what we mean is the same kind of voltage range that we run PV at. So typically somewhere between 100 and 500 volts. What this single inverter does is it harvests PV from the roof, backfeeds to the grid, and charges and discharges the battery. In the event of a power outage, the transfer switch disconnects from the grid and shunts power over to a sub-panel with your priority loads. And those are sized around what you need to run in your home in a power outage and within the capability of the inverter and the capability of your battery storage. All this stuff happens seamlessly and is there for you when you need it. The reason why it hasn't come to the U.S. yet is we're still largely a net metering kind of country. And whenever you can use the utility as your battery, the finances just don't work out to buy your own battery. But in places in Europe and in Australia, the economics are such that you get a pittance for selling power back and then turn around and are charged, a mint for power that you buy. So that differential is what pays for your battery bank. We see the lithium-ion batteries are clearly emerging as the best, especially at the residential level, because they're energy dense, so small footprint, and have extremely long lives. And frankly, can kind of be abused a little bit. They don't have to be fully charged like a lead-acid battery does. So we're starting to see battery manufacturers, folks like Tesla, folks like LG Chem, folks like Samsung, Sony, that are bringing these containerized or looks like an appliance into the residential marketplace. And then those will connect right to this dual port PV and battery inverter. And the systems are really as plug and play as they can get. So this is really exciting stuff, and we're excited to bring it here to the U.S. market.
Thank you, Wes. And now to wrap things up, I wanted to talk a little bit about CivicSolar's improved online ordering experience for our customers. This is something we are striving to continue to improve and welcome feedback from customers, but we recently did come out with a slew of new features to hopefully make your online ordering experience more seamless, and we invite you to explore them with your next purchase of Fronius equipment. We have new list building features which allow you to build custom lists of products you're ordering most frequently so that you can quickly add those to your cart online and make those purchases in a more efficient manner. If you have any questions about these new features or in general about pricing and availability, please reach out to your dedicated account manager, and we'd love to dive into your next project further. So in summary, Fronius stands for innovation, quality, and service when it comes to inverters in the PV market. Their smart solution has the benefits of peace of mind, reduced hardware costs, and faster installation times for installers across the country. They also believe the future of rapid shutdown bodes well for string inverters, as these are likely to continue to dominate the market as rapid shutdown will become integrated in the module itself. Lastly, the Fronius Energy Package offers a comprehensive energy solution, and we invite you to continue to ask questions about this product as it will hopefully be released in the U.S. market later next year. Thank you for joining us here today on this webinar. I'd like to thank Solar Power World and Fronius again, and like I said, do not hesitate to reach out to your account manager for more details regarding the Fronius product line.
I'd like to thank Wes and Tom again for being here, and CivicSolar for sponsoring today's webinar. And thank you to everyone in our audience for participating. I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and we invite you to join us for more Solar Power World webinars. Thanks, everyone.